another episode of Together. Together, always supporting each other. Our program is specialized in helping and supporting those with disability. Today's subject is a very important one that we have talked about over and over again, but we can never get to the end of this subject. It's about violence against disabled people, whether they are adults or children. And with us in the studio is Dr. Nasser Aloud. Dr. Nasser Aloud is a professor in clinical social work at Al-Imam University, and also DTL, Dr. Hania Jahshan, who is a forensic advisor, member of the editorial board of the UN Secretary General on Violence Against Children. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Doctor, when we talk about violence against those disabled, maybe some of the viewers that see us today are shocked. How can you be so violent against a person that cannot help himself? What do we mean by violence against those with disability?
First of all, thank you for inviting me. This is really hidden topic in our society, particularly in these days or in the past days. Now everybody talk about it, but unfortunately they talk about for people who are really don't have any impairment. But when it comes to people who are disabled or elderly or physically abused, physical abuse, that's really a hot topic. In fact, yesterday and today, the Ministry of Health had a 2 days conference that's focused on child abuse in medical setting. And I think this is a timely topic, but it's need to be talked about it frankly and openly so that the people who are really having those kids could benefit from where to go, what do they understand, and how to prevent those kind of abuse. When it comes to definition of violence, it's still vague. It hasn't been come to one definition that all the people could agree upon. But violence that's what we need to talk about. It has 3 parts. This is one, physical violence, which is really known. That's when someone hits somebody with either something that's violence. Intentionally harm him. The second one is the verbal violence, which is most common, unfortunately, in the third world and among some society. And the one that's really not talked about often is sexual violence, which is sexual abuse. And those kind of all constitute the count of violence against children. We today talk about the kind of abuse that's really include verbal, physical, or sexual, or neglect. And just to give you a statistic, a researcher in Holland found that 90% of people who have intellectual impairment will probably suffer from sexual abuse 3 times in their, and probably most likely to suffer 3 times in their time life.
That's a pretty big number.
Statistics also show that people who are disabled are 1.7 more to being abused than children who doesn't have disability. So this kind of statistics show us that there is people who in our society, they are really suffering, not even from their peers or their family, sometimes in their institution. And that's really has been highlighted in Saudi newspaper and in Arab newspaper, that some people have been abused because, and they've taken advantage of us. If you have a girl who really impaired, somebody could just talk to her and she doesn't know, and they could either physically or sexually abuse her. So that's what really need to talk about it. We know many families are found in our society, they don't know where to go, there's no place as they know, but inshallah today we'll give them some reference, at least they just go.
For people to be able to differentiate between them.
Yes, differentiation, where to go, what's the symptom, how to discover this, and
where to go, where to go is very important. We'll get back to that. But before that, we will go to Beirut, Lebanon with our guest, Mr. Hania Jahshan. Are you with us?